attendee at TechNet Cyber could walk the show floor and see a lot of new booths from vendors with solutions to show government and from government looking to connect with industry. Bill Lemons is Director of Solutions Architecture and Systems Engineering at Fortinet Federal. He says the constant evolution of the roster of cyber players isn't surprising.
There's a lot of new players in that particular space, and you have to just give it a try. I see a lot of pilot activity, just testing the waters, if you will, just to see whether or not the concept and the expectations can truly meet the hype.
Mm-hmm. The pilot programs that the department is working on, how have you seen those kinds of things scale? Not necessarily in the Defense Department, and maybe not even necessarily regarding Zero Trust, but at some point the department will have to scale those. How do you advise people to do that effectively?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest challenges, right? If you take a small, kind of measured approach to take a look at the underlying capabilities, that question of scale still remains somewhat unanswered, especially if you're not sure that that particular vendor has references or has examples of the fact that they've been able to, scale to certain sizes. So I think a slow, methodic process, really monitoring not only the progress of how to meet those particular milestones, but also meet those security gates and truly understanding that the intent is actually being delivered on as the scale out begins is going to be a really challenging and an important part of that scale out process.
That intent, I think, is the key word in the statement that you just made, because that's the ultimate question that it strikes me that the department should be asking itself. Are we getting what we set out to get? How does one measure that over time, in your view? There's obviously the milepost, the 2027 goal for the department regarding Zero Trust, but you don't want to wait till 2027 to make sure that you're on track.
Yeah, I think in the guidance itself, it really talks about kind of the cyclic process, right? Making sure that you not only deploy, but you also assess. And when you assess, whether it's a scorecard, whether it's a checklist, whatever it is, making sure that you take those metrics, understand what those gaps may be. If you start to see gaps in the approach itself, and be open. I mean, I never saw, when the guidance originally came out, the idea that Zero Trust was going to be a product. Mm-hmm. I knew it was an approach. It was changing the mindset of how to deploy systems and how to ensure that visibility that could be gained could be leveraged to provide appropriate access levels to data, and that landscape is going to continue to change over time. So hopefully those opportunities to gather that additional feedback from the environment, go against those checklists, identify those gaps, and look for complementary systems and platforms that can help fill those gaps.
You mentioned a moment ago the landscape will change over time. Do you have any sense of what it may look like in the future, or is it even knowable to know what the landscape might look like in the future?
I think the only thing that you can really count on is change.
Yeah.
Knowing what it's going to look like is, I heard a few people talk about the fact that no one really has a crystal ball.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to pull that one out. But definitely, being thoughtful, being mindful, being vigilant, and watching the trends, getting an understanding of what everything that is deployed is actually doing for you and what its limits are, and being willing to understand that process is going to be continual. It's a journey that has no end. It's one that is just going to have to move. You hope to move it forward, right? That's really the goal and kind of the heart of the Zero Trust architecture in general, is that continual improvement.